Welcome. Today we have another episode with an interesting guest who is currently studying at MIUC, a US student. Very interesting to find out how and what brought her here to Marbella and why she chose this over studying in the US. I'd like everyone to welcome Dakota.
Hello. My name's Dakota Flaget. As you mentioned, I study at Marbella International University or MIUC, and I have the pleasure of being their student ambassador. So that's kind of what's been really fun and part of why I get to be a guest on this podcast, which I'm so thankful to be here with you guys. Yeah, it was kind of a long journey to get here and an odd one, but I always knew that I wanted to study abroad at some point, and I had the pleasure to come and visit Spain at one point on a school trip.
How
And
long ago was that?
that was when I was 16, so about 4 years ago.
Okay.
And
Which areas of Spain did you visit?
I got to go all over. So it actually started in France. And so I got to experience a little bit of both areas. So I started in Paris, and then we went all the way down through Bordeaux. And then we went to San Sebastián, Saragossa. And then we took a train over to Madrid and Barcelona and some of those other lovely areas.
Mm-hmm.
And it was crazy. So much that we saw in only 14 days. It was an insane amount. But I knew the moment we stepped into Spain, I was like, this
Is
is
that your first sort of experience and adventure, let's say, outside of the US into Europe?
into Europe. Yeah, I had gotten to go to Canada a couple times before because I'm a almost Canadian citizen. My mom's has both citizenships, thankfully,
Right.
and so we get to go visit some family up there a fair amount. But yeah, so I was always planning on studying abroad for a year or two. I didn't originally plan on doing my whole degree here, but I was looking at colleges and stuff, and I got admitted to some spectacular colleges in the US and particularly in California that I was really excited about. But when all said and done, the scholarships they gave me weren't enough to make it affordable for me. So they were looking at $60,000 to $70,000 US dollars a year
Just
for
for
just for
education.
tuition, just for education.
No accommodation, no
Nothing.
no books,
No,
no materials, nothing.
literally nothing. And so basically I was really upset, and I had to go. I was thinking I was going to have to go to a smaller university that I wasn't feeling it. It wasn't.
When you say smaller, you mean in terms of the university's recognition in the world?
Mhm. Yeah, a smaller
Public versus
state.
private, things like this?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So it was over in Montana, and it was known for a couple things like computer science, but that's not really my forte.
What is it that you're studying now?
Yeah, I study politics and international relations, and with hopes of becoming some sort of diplomat or international security policy advisor.
Very cool.
Yeah, so I have a lot of interest in that, and it was definitely Montana isn't known for that. I love Montana; it's beautiful, but it wasn't exactly known for it, and I was just really frustrated, and I talked with my mom, and I was really frustrated, and my mom was like, "I don't know, Dakota, why don't you just go to Spain or something?" And I was like, "Maybe I will." Actually, let's do some research. And I kid you not, we Googled English taught universities in Spain, and MIUC was one of the first ones to pop up.
So you are in your second year, if I'm not mistaken?
Correct,
And you
correct.
have one more year to go.
Absolutely. So it's really cool because the UK system only has a 3-year bachelor's,
Right.
and I adore it. It makes it so much, it's a lot more concise. There's not like in the US system, there's a lot of general education
What is it, like
credits.
4 years in the US?
Yes, 4 years
Okay.
is a typical bachelor's.
Minimum.
Minimum, yeah.
Okay. And something that I'm aware of, I mean, I've grown up here. Marbella is my home. I actually did study here from primary school, secondary, high school. If I had had the opportunity to have English-speaking universities nearby, I most likely would have stayed. I mean, the weather, quality of life.
So beautiful.
I do appreciate my experience outside university. I studied in the UK one, but I now hear that MIUC has accreditation from the University of West London, right?
Yeah, so we just got a partnership with them about 2.5 years ago now, with the University of West London. And so we are getting a UK-accredited degree in the south of Spain. So not only are we getting a very prestigious degree, we get to sit right between the mountains and the sea. Like from our campus, you look behind, we see La Concha. You look out our patio and you see the Mediterranean. Like what else can you hope for and dream for, you know? It's just
Did you know
beautiful.
anything about Marbella before you moved here?
Guilty confession, not really, no.
First impression.
First impression was strong. I was like, wow, this is beautiful. This is not at all what I expected, to be
Mhm.
fair, because I had previously visited Madrid and Barcelona, and I had visited a couple
Or
of
city
smaller
life.
city life, but I'd also visited a couple of smaller pueblos type thing along the way, but they were all very properly Spanish. And I did take a couple years of Spanish classes in high school, and I wanted to be like, okay, I want to continue studying this. I want to continue learning the language. It's beautiful. The
Yeah.
culture's beautiful. And then Marbella obviously is super international. And so honestly, I've had very little opportunities to practice my Spanish. But that being said, there are still some really cool opportunities to
Right.
continue it. Yeah.
I mean, okay, so US from a
Washington State.
small
Yeah.
town in Washington
Hmm.
State doesn't like the options provided based mostly financially,
Yes.
an issue for both you and your family,
Hmm.
which I think most people around the world do have a problem. I can only imagine in the US
Yeah.
this is an issue.
Yeah, the US and the UK is now facing the same issue with the privatization, the lack of federal funding to the universities and such like that, and the inflation in the prices of colleges, public and private, is not at all proportional to the inflation in general, and so it's causing huge issues, especially for middle class.
Right. I mean, for you not having had any exposure or experience here in Europe and then taking this leap, moving down here 2 years, one more year to go,
Yeah.
I can imagine you're only preaching good things to all of your friends back home,
Yes.
about how your living
Mm-hmm.
lifestyle, your quality, and your costs are compared to what you
Seriously.
would have been paying if you had stayed, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have had quite a little bit of exposure to the pool of talent as well, so you are aware that there's things that we're trying to do with the education here. I mean, this whole shaping of Marbella 2.0, with one of the main pillars being education. What would you say is your perspective on places like MIUC and other higher studies opportunities in Marbella that are sort of surging at the moment? And what do you think it means for the younger generation who normally would look outside to study abroad or study their higher levels of
Yeah,
education?
I think it's super up and coming. I have to admit, like there we have such a concentration of international schools, like primary and secondary schools.
Hmm.
But then once you get to the university level, there's a complete lack of it. We have Le Roche, and then we have MIUC, and it's really really cool that how much they've grown in recent times. And considering, I we get MIUC is technically a private university, but I'm still paying less than I would for one of the smaller, like I'm paying less than I would have at Montana or in Montana. And I really think it's so cool that there there's so much effort. They're realizing this market is completely untapped. They're realizing how much this specific region has to give back and how much there's potential.
Right.
And so, and one thing, especially with our new partnership with UWL, is they have put so much investment in our teachers. Our teachers are so good.
I
And
was going to ask, like, costs and living quality of life aside,
so, yeah,
education. How do you feel about the standard of education you're getting at MIUC?
I have to admit, like, I was delightfully surprised. Like, not to say that I had low standards or whatever, but my standards that I had were surpassed because it is a small university, very small. We have just over 200 students, which is, of course, tiny. My high school had 1,300. Um, and so I had a lot of hesitations with the small thing
Right.
and small classroom sizes as well. But the
Would you say
professors,
that the small classroom sizes does give you a lot more one-on-one time with the professors, though?
so much more one-on-one time. It's great. I have such good relationships with all of my professors, and whenever you
Nice.
have questions about things, you can just shoot them an email. Or just talk to them in person, kind of thing. Like everyone's super accessible, which
Are they also quite international, the professors?
yes, super international.
Okay.
Across our staff and students, we represent over 97 nationalities, which is considering there's only just over 200 students.
Almost 50% of your
Yeah,
staff and student board there.
yeah, pretty much everybody's got at least one or two nationalities that they have a passport for, essentially. And yeah, I've got a Finnish professor, a Belgian professor, Spanish professor, the whole nine yards. And they're all PhDs, really knowledgeable in their fields,
Mm.
and they really represent and the core of being like education first. We want our students to have a quality education. And yeah, they're just there to support you. And I think that's really important for staff, at least to me.
So you're here almost 2 years.
Hmm.
One more year to go. Now that you've made your connections and your experiences as student ambassador, as well as here at the pool, what would you say is your idea or your plan for the future? I mean, obviously things can change always, but ideally, would you see yourself staying in Marbella, staying in Europe, going back to the US, going to a completely different country? I mean, what do you think would be your plan once you graduate?
When I graduate from MIUC, I do plan on continuing my education, and I haven't decided on exactly where in the UK. I prefer to go to another UK-accredited university,
Hmm.
whether it's at MIUC again for my master's or potentially going to UWL, or I've also looked at a couple other universities up in Scotland and stuff like that. And but basically, I want to continue get my master's in international security studies,
Okay.
and then realistically, it's such an international job. I can see myself working just about anywhere. I can always see myself returning to Marbella at some point in my life. I don't know exactly when, but I have to give credit to how much MIC and Marbella in general has set me up with these connections that I genuinely would never have ever had the opportunity to gain in the US. And not to say that those universities aren't spectacular in the US, but the amount of people here, it's just such a high concentration of important people. And not to say that there's not important people in other places, but just people who know how to implement change and know how to get their goals met and know how to be successful.
I like what you said there, this high concentration. Marbella, for what it is a small place compared to the cities around. I myself, I basically call this place home because I moved here in 1997 before they even had euros.
Mm-hmm.
I studied here. If, like I said, if there wasn't an opportunity to pursue my higher education here, I most likely would have stayed for many reasons other than the cost, but lifestyle, um, convenience, the weather. The,
Seriously.
the list is long.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people, especially myself and the people I've known who've lived here for at least 5 or 10 years or more, we all find ourselves leaving the nest,
Mm-hmm.
living life, studying abroad, working abroad, but then we all find a way back here somehow. You've been here 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
You've never had any prior exposure to Marbella,
None.
nor this whole area of Spain. And for you to feel the same way as most of the people that I know growing up here, it says something that I've always thought about it, and it just solidifies it even more.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very special place here.
It really
There's a
is.
very specific energy, that magnetic energy that brings people back here or brings people to here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think once you get this experience, like you have, living in the sun, enjoying
It's
the quality of
spectacular.
life,
It's truly spectacular.
convenient flights everywhere from Malaga, all of these
So
things, right?
convenient.
You yourself would say in 2 short years, you can see yourself coming back to Marbella one way or another due to your experience, the people you've met. It's almost like this place brings in
Cool people.
not just cool
Yeah.
people, but I would say very much people looking for the same values and the same prospects, I would say, whether they're starting a family or they already have kids or they're looking to expand themselves. I mean, for now, you don't normally associate Marbella with technology and innovation and building companies from scratch,
Yeah.
but slowly we're starting to see a change here, right?
Yeah, and I think that with this new investment in education in this area, particularly, I think that we're going to continue to make this more and more possible because people who are wanting to start businesses, wanting to start these things, and or wanting to start just new ideas, expand on their business here in Marbella, I think that especially because a lot of them are family people and they want to know that their kids aren't going to have to leave the nest too far, but still also have a really good quality education. And so, not just to toot MIUC's horn or whatever, but it really is a great opportunity for these families to be able to stay local and really just build roots here and become Marbella locals. And I think that's one thing that's cool about Marbella is I feel like there's a lot of times I always say, oh, I don't meet a lot of people who say they're born and raised in Marbella. But the longer I've been here and the more people I've met, the more and more people I realize actually have been here. And while their parents maybe were from somewhere else or they were expats initially, those types of things, they still really consider themselves Marbella locals. And I think that's really cool that when you can really properly integrate
Yeah.
into an area. And so you've been here for so long. Do you want to talk a little bit about like how your education, you mentioned how if you wish there kind of was something like this when you were here? What was your
Absolutely.
education like?
I went to a low college. I
Mhm.
was there pretty much from year 2 until graduation, which is year 13, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
Which is they do international baccalaureate there.
Oh,
Quite a
amazing.
few of the international schools here either do A levels or IB, International Baccalaureate. And with both of those options, not only do they open doors to all European universities, but I always kind of had my heart set on an English speaking university, hence why I ended up studying in the UK.
Mhm.
Costly, costly prices as an international student, as you can appreciate. Maybe not as crazy as what it is in America, but for my time, it was pretty bad. I graduated around the time of the recession. So I started going into university in 2009 recession time. It was heavy on a lot of people, including my parents. However, I honestly thought if I had this opportunity for the English speaking universities here in Marbella, I wouldn't have had to leave. I wouldn't have had to worry about accommodation. I wouldn't have had any problem staying at home. It's very comfortable when you're at home.
Yes.
But more importantly, I have the luxury of being in a place that provides you with so many things to do. Marbella, as much as it's known for its glitz and glam and its luxurious hotels and touristic opportunities here and golf and things that tend to
Yeah.
cost quite a bit of money, there's a lot of things that people can do in Marbella in the surrounding areas that are enjoying nature, appreciating being in this place, and
Yeah.
not too heavy on the pocket. So a lot of people expect that you have to have a certain budget to come down to Marbella. Of course, if you want a nice villa, if you want a nice house, that's expected.
Mhm.
Like everywhere in the world, there's always certain areas within a city or a town that have, you know,
A higher budget range,
higher
sure.
budget range. But what Marbella offers in terms of quality of life, quality of food, access to healthy, homegrown, locally grown food, locally caught fish, locally reared meat, all of these things. It's Spain is usually considered the garden of Europe. So for us to have the garden right here and be able to pick from it instead of having to get it imported, it's a huge aspect. And health, thinking about,
Mhm.
your regular vitamin D hours in the day. I mean, all of these things factor into overall mood, overall happiness and lifestyle. So you could be making a lot of money in a big city, but if you're waking up to cold, dark rain, how happy can you really be, right?
Yeah, seriously. I grew up in a region that's really close to Canada, so we
Mhm.
definitely get a strong 4 seasons, and 3 out of the 4 of those seasons are cold, wet, and a bit gloomy. And don't get me wrong, I love winter. I'm a big skier. I was a ski instructor back in the States.
Sierra Nevada around the corner.
It's so great. It genuinely, it's so odd to be like, oh, I'm in South Spain still. I drove 2.5 hours and now I'm skiing in snow. And this morning I was at the beach. Oh, okay. Like, it's just insane. You think about those moments and you're just like,
In terms of scale, America's next level. But
sure.
for a place in Europe that does offer you the sun, the sea, and even the slopes
Mhm.
within a 2-3 hour range, I mean, I think that's
It's insane.
it's quite impressive.
Yeah, it really is. And I like what you were saying about in Marbella, there are the really nice areas, of course, and you can find the luxury if that's what you're looking for. But me personally, I'm on a budget. I work in the summer times. I work here now too. It's been great. And so I'm paying for my rent and my those types of things. And I have 2 roommates and it's great. My cost of living is so low compared to anything I would have found in the States. Like
Yeah.
when I like it's astounding. And same with the utilities and cost of public transportation and those types of things.
I mean, safe to say you definitely do not regret your decision moving down here.
No, none at all. And a lot of people I feel like assume they're like, oh, she's in Marbella. The people who do know about Marbella, they're like, oh, she's got to be spending hundreds of
As
like,
most
so much.
people
Yeah,
do, which is fair.
which is fair and it's totally great. But I also think that there's a lot of people here too that have realized that you can do Marbella on a budget and you
Yeah.
can get a good quality education, you can find really good jobs and still enjoy so much of Marbella.
So going back to it, education that you've been exposed to is on a university level.
Hmm.
You've had a little bit of exposure with the pool of talent, which are high schoolers essentially about to go into the university phase.
Yeah.
I mean, what has been the sort of sentiment that you've gathered talking with them and seeing what they think about this initiative of being able to find internship work or work experience before they go out into the world? Is that something that you think they are super appreciative of, or you think that's something that, from your experience, having been here only 2 years and you yourself probably working through high school as well,
Yes.
it's not something that's common here. If you don't know someone whose family owns a business, it's very unlikely at 16 you're going to get a part-time job or an internship. But now things are changing.
Hmm.
With the pool of talent, what did you feel in your few meetings with them? How did you feel about that? What do you think?
Those are some motivated kids. I would like their current leader Yuval. I was talking with him a couple times. That kid is academically and just work-wise driven, and it goes for
The
the whole
discipline is there.
discipline is there. And it's uncommon even in the States, where in the States it's really common for people to work as young as, technically I had my first job at 12, legally at 14.
Is that legal?
I was
Okay.
I was babysitting.
Okay, fine.
But like my first legal job I got at 14. I paid taxes the whole 9 yards, but that's decently common, I think, in the States,
Mhm.
especially now.
Mhm.
But then again, yeah, here the quality of life is, even people who aren't from the super rich and famous, they figure out ways that they don't have to work at such a young age. They wait till they're 18, they do the whole education thing, and they don't try to balance both. But I think it's really cool here is they're
Motivated.
still yeah, they're really motivated, and obviously for education still comes first for them, but then figuring out how to take advantage of the fact that they don't need to work, but they can, and the fact that they want to get valuable like internship experience at a young age, which a lot of times when they're 18 and they're fine, when most kids are going into the workforce, they have no experience, they have no internship, like hard skill, not just like being a barista or being a little, I don't know, waitress or something like that, but actual business experience. That's super uncommon, and these kids are setting up this future generation really for success. That's kind of how I found out about the pool myself. Was I came to a Pool of Talents event
Mhm.
that MIUC students were invited to,
Mhm.
and that was a bit so when a lot of my conversations with the pool and Christian and those types of things started. So it was really cool.
In your short exposure to the pool, of course, most of these companies that the Pool of Talent kids would be looking for are all based here.
Hmm.
I mean, it's like walking in and taking your pick of the drawer there, right?
It really
Like,
is.
I want to do something in marketing, I want to do something in fintech, prop tech, whatever it might be. And there's sort of a place that you can kind of go put yourself out there and be handpicked almost immediately from any of these sectors that are all in one place.
Yeah, seriously. Like that is unheard of, even in the States where like or anywhere, honestly, that's
Yeah.
unheard of. Uh, Even in areas that, super high concentration of education or whatever it is, or a long-standing tradition of having education really tied to business and such, you're still not going to find something like this opportunity where Pool of Talents is really just like, okay, here's this concentration of highly motivated, good students who are already working on their skills that are going to be invaluable for them in the future,
Mhm.
and then coming to the pool and and having this connection with the pool and being like, okay,
It's
I'm
not even
really,
like a foot in the door. It's like
it's
literally walked into the room.
yeah,
You know?
it's not even just like, oh, we're in the conversation now.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
we are like in the circle, and exactly, yeah, it's not a foot in the door, it's you're in the room, and I love that.
I mean, you're also, very motivated yourself based
I try.
based on what you've told me your day to day looks like, your week to week looks like.
A little
Where do you
busy
find the
these
time,
days. I am a little busy these days, but
No,
it's
but
fun.
I think, like you said, a lot of people that from high school all the way up to university level, I think for such a holiday destination, for such a laxed place, you wouldn't think that the youth here would be so motivated
Hmm.
to kind of go and grab whatever opportunity comes their way that will be able to help propel them forward in just not just in their CVs, but more in the experience side of things, helping
Yeah.
them maybe decide if this is actually what they want to do. Maybe in their minds they think they want to do marketing and events, but in the end they probably want to focus more on project management and business. Or,
Yes.
maybe they decide they find a new love from fintech or prop tech or blockchain even. And
Yeah, seriously, and I feel like that's another thing that's really cool about the Pool of Talents is you're getting these kids who are super motivated, and maybe they don't know exactly the direction they want to go, but they have a vague inclination or something like that.
Mhm.
And so getting to start so young and getting to figure out what you're actually good at and what you actually enjoy and what you could see yourself doing for the rest of your life or however long you plan to work.
Right.
Um, at such a young age is so valuable because some people, they think they want to do one thing, they finally get their career that they've worked so hard to get, and they end up there and they're not happy with it. And so when you're so young like this, 15, 16, they get to really get firsthand experience and figure out what actually works for them. What's going to be not only worth their effort, but something they really enjoy and can cherish and can do these types of things as they get older and figuring it out young so that if you do end up being like, yeah, that's not for me, you can get out while you're still young and know that okay, I have this was
And
a
not
good
be in a
learner.
job for 20 years doing it and only
Exactly.
have that as your experience on your CV.
Exactly. So instead you can be like, okay, I learned a lot in that, and one of the things that I learned was that I'm not meant for it. And so then they can shift gears, and again, all of the gears that they could possibly want to shift are right here in the pool. And, just being like, okay, now whose office am I knocking on today to figure out what's actually going to work for me?
I mean, you're going on a topic here that I was going to lead into, so you've helped me walk into that.
Yeah, I
I
try.
appreciate that. I wanted to know to close up a little bit, what kind of advice or what kind of thoughts you would share with not only people who are considering moving to Marbella to either find work or to study or to pursue higher education in either their university degrees or their masters?
Mhm.
What would you say is one of your main pieces of advice, with your own experience, of course?
From my experience, honestly, go out on the limb. Like I coming here with never being in Marbella before this
Not
part of
knowing
Spain,
anything
not
about
knowing
it.
just about anything. Like obviously I asked all the normal questions, but there's obviously so many things you don't even know to ask questions about.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Sometimes it's worth just taking the risk because worst case scenario, you realize that okay, this isn't for me, but sometimes you would never know that or never by if you hadn't have done it in the first place. And I know it's such a basic thing. Take the risk, do it, you know. You only live young, you're
You
young.
speak so with such experience, and I keep forgetting that you're just 20 years old. So I would love to see what happens with you in the next 5 to 10 years and hear what more things you've been able to achieve and how many more things you've been able to cram into your
Yeah,
agenda.
it's been really fun. I have to admit, like another thing too is, of course, I'm a yes person, but also the most valuable thing I think I've learned recently is the value of saying no and really analyzing all of my opportunities, keeping my horizons relatively open while still having a full schedule is something that it's a very tedious balance, but I've
But
kind
you're
of
kind of a busybody, so I feel like you can't
yes,
sit down for too long.
I
So you do
cannot.
need to have
I need
the
to have
balance more busy than not, right?
yes, exactly. More
Okay.
busy than not, but also at the same time knowing that okay, should another crazy opportunity arise, I have the opportunity to take it while still managing my previous commitments
Mm-hmm.
and not overloading myself and burning myself out. Because that was something in high school that I definitely did was I hit 16, 17 and I was so burnt out academically, all the things. And it was just a struggle to finish high school my standard of grades. And I still did, which I was really proud of myself to push through the
You
burnout,
got
if you
like
will.
scholarship level grades, right? So
Yeah, I graduated in top of my class. It was pretty fun. Yeah, we
would
do.
you say maybe that's more because the type of work that you're doing here is a lot more stimulating and
Yes,
gives you experience, exposure, and more importantly, an aspect of socialization that probably you would
yes,
have to look for when you did your jobs back in high school?
absolutely. In high school, I was doing jobs that didn't really stimulate me that much mentally, other than maybe my ski instructing job. I was a big fan because I get to do something I love while also getting to teach little kids how to ski, and it's adorable.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, in high school, I felt like a lot of the work was very busy work. You're just, assignment. Whereas here, it's the emphasis is more on actual experience and hands-on knowledge and getting it's a quality over quantity. Whereas I feel like that's kind of a difference between at least the education system that I've experienced here versus the experience in the US. And I've managed to do well in both, but there definitely was a learning curve from going one to the other.
Absolutely.
But I definitely appreciate that a lot more. Less busy work and more like, okay, go get an internship and get real life experience in this field that you're interested in. Figure out if you really like it. If you don't, go find a new one. Go do this. Go get hands on experience. Go volunteer. And yeah, I,
I mean, listening to your story, how you came here, how you decided on it, and what you're doing to date, it is definitely an an added factor in what I'm seeing from my experience having lived here for so long as the new Marbella, the Marbella 2.0.
completely.
On top of the business side of things, the education is constantly improving. The international schools, the level that they're offering, the quality of teachers that they're being able to hire, and then on top of that, the universities that are English speaking that are available as well. I think it's slowly but surely shaping Marbella not just for people who've already established themselves in a career, but people who are starting to. People who are
Yes.
leaving school and figuring out what career they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that we are super proud of supporting at the pool, as well as seeing how projects like the Pool of Talent are going, is seeing the motivation of the youth, because it doesn't matter what we might want for them. If they don't want it, it's not going to happen. But the fact
Exactly.
that they want it, they definitely want it,
Yeah, these kids are
shows.
so motivated.
So motivated, and it's lovely to see. I mean, I think maybe if my school or any of the other schools at the time would have had opportunities to get internships in big companies or in interesting industries that normally don't call Marbella as a base or one of their bases, I think a lot more people would spend more time figuring out where their careers are going to go and what they want to study. I mean, a lot of my friends who've studied, we've met up after graduating, and not everybody's doing what they studied. Not everybody's in the field that they studied. We just did it because we had to get a degree, or we wanted to, or we wanted to get that bit out the way. And
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
now it's a little bit more well thought.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
like I said, me having lived here for so long, being able to see this change in Marbella, at least in the educational side of things, has been
Yeah.
quite an incredible
Yeah, and I
thing to
think,
witness.
and going, I feel like if we start with, and well, not just start, one goes with the other, but having the education shift, making this shift, but then also the business aspect and
Mm-hmm.
the whole community around that, everything that surrounds education. So all the people, the families that are supporting our young folks that are getting educated, or the people who are older who want to get a master's or something later on in life. It's never too late to get
The
school.
options keep growing, I think. And
Yeah.
I really do thank you for making the time to share with us your journey and your story and what you're up to now, and how you're somehow finding the time to slip in a quick podcast with us at the pool.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Elizabeth. It's
It's
been a pleasure.
It's been such a pleasure. And I'm sure we'll be having a little chat again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.